47 ministers, 47 scorecards. Never mind that some of them are ministers of state. Each of them have different tasks. So ideally, we should see 47 scorecards. Well, that's a topic for another day. And if the review of their performance is supposed to be done quarterly, as the president promised, we would like to see some results, please. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's cabinet was sworn in on the 16th of August, 2023, about 3 months after he assumed office on May the 29th, 2023. As he clocks 1 year in office, the president is keeping his word. No ceremonies to mark his 1 year in office, only accountability briefings by his ministers, detailing their service in the past year. And as we all recall, President Tinubu said non-performing ministers will be recalled. So the job is clear. 47 ministers have to showcase their scorecard before all Nigerians. And that is what will be our focus on today's edition of Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Kayla Magwa. It's been days of scorecard highlights by ministers of the Tinubu administration. Back in November of 2023, at the opening of a 3-day cabinet retreat for ministers, presidential aides, permanent secretaries, and top government functionaries, President Tinubu stated that the ministers in his cabinet would only retain their offices based on performance, which he said would be reviewed quarterly. Tasked with that review is the Central Delivery Coordination Unit, headed by the President's Special Advisor on Policy Coordination, Hadiza Bala Usman. While the minister sent that report to her office, to mark his 1 year in office, the ministers have been briefing the Nigerian public on their achievements so far. Here's what happened on day 1 of that briefing, as we heard from 7 ministers on that day. The National Press Center, Radio House Abuja, is packed on the first day of the ministerial sectorial briefing by members of the Federal Executive Council. The main event to mark the first year in office of President Bola Tinubu.
Alhaji Muhammad Idris, FNI PR, for his welcome remarks.
The Minister of Information sets the tone for the day by launching the Nigerian National Web Portal, a gateway to all information about the federal government.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, which I oversee, has a mandate to manage and enhance the image and reputation of the people of Nigeria, and especially the government, through a dynamic public information system that facilitates access by citizens and the global community to credible and timely information. We are determined to restore trust, confidence, and credibility to public communication by engaging in a timely, proactive, and consistent fashion with all our stakeholders across governments, the media, the private sector, the international community, by deploying all available media platforms. We are highlighting and amplifying the policies and programs and achievements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration and the positive impact of these policies and programs in the lives of the Nigerian people. Number 3, it is also within our focus to reorient our national values. We are implementing a series of comprehensive national campaigns to achieve a reorientation of attitudes, values, and ethics in Nigeria. At the heart of this reorientation is Nigeria's new national charter, which will be launched by Mr. President very soon. The Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation has resuscitated this new portal. It is the gateway to all the information that we require to know about this government, about Nigeria, about its people, and about our culture.
The Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, leads the first session of the sectorial briefing.
We went around the 6 area councils and had interactions with the people. And I said, look, you must be part of the security architecture. Government alone cannot fight insecurity. You too have a role to play. And each of the area councils said, look, if you can do this road and this road, these are where they take from the mountain they come in. I what you think, your own contribution, then go home and sleep. As I speak to you today, all the area councils can attest the fact that before December this year, we are going to commission not less than 120 kilometers of roads in these 6 area councils. We have provided logistics, vehicles, name them, to all the security agencies. You cannot sleep with your 2 eyes closed. What used to be in Abuja before is not what is now. You can imagine Abuja as a city. You see all the roads. You don't even know which is a taxi. You don't even know which one is the official commercial bus. And that's why we entered into this one chance. But now, we have now started to build 3 terminals for the FCT, 3 terminals, so that you know that if you want to board a bus, if you want to take a taxi, you go to social terminal, you know who is on, you know who's operating this bus.
He's followed by the Minister of Youth Development.
Citizenship and Leadership Center is also undergoing reforms, being the second parastatal under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Youth Development, aside the NYSC. We're also driving reforms in the CLTC to enhance leadership training and citizenship education, ensuring that our youth are well prepared to take on leadership roles and contribute to national development. We will continue the disbursement of the Youth Investment Fund to support more youth entrepreneurs, operationalize the Next Gen Bank by August 2024 to provide tailored financial services to youth-led ventures, and implement NYC reforms to integrate skills development and entrepreneurship in the service year. To scale up the National Youth Skills Program to train more young Nigerians across all geopolitical zones, taking the levels of proficiency into consideration.
Next up is the Minister of Steel Development.
We have obtained presidential approval from Mr. President himself to raise private capital to restart the light section mill of the Ajokuta steel plant. We are at the final stages of raising about 35 or over 35 billion naira from a local financial institution, which is around $25 million, to be able to restart the light section mill of the complex so that we can produce iron rods. That light section mill has a capacity to produce up to 400,000 metric tons of iron rods per annum. Now, I have been working very, very closely with the Minister of Works, Senator Umahi, so that we can provide iron rods to the ministry as part of the concrete road revolution of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have started having discussions regarding reviving the power plant. Ajokuta has a 110 megawatt power plant that can produce power that can supply power not just to Ajokuta Steel Complex, but also to the national grid to improve power supply.
As the day continues, a second set of ministers present their scorecard, emphasizing their achievements in unlocking the nation's natural resources, as noted by the Minister of Petroleum and the Minister of Solid Minerals.
In Africa, Nigeria is the leading oil and gas producer, and we are still dominating that position. Our targets in this 2024, having worked very hard to create the enabling environment, is to ensure that we have minimum of $20 billion in investment this year. The only way you can sustain increase in production and generate money that government needs to finance our economic programs, is the oil and gas sector. The quickest way to our economic prosperity is the oil and gas sector. Every country that has oil prioritizes investment in oil. And Nigeria can never be an exception. So what we are doing is to see how we can create that investing opportunity for companies to come and invest. Our own target is that by the end of the year, we'll have increased production through our sustained investment campaign to at least
2 million to 2.5 million barrels. So that OPEC will be forced to beg us and say, look, slow down. We are sanitizing the operating environment of the solid mineral sector to enable it assume its pride of place in contributing significantly to the GDP of this country. So we weeded off over 1,600 licenses of operators who failed to meet their obligations to government. Again, just about a few weeks ago, I also had cause to revoke another set of over 900 licenses that had been dormant. Some people applied and got approval for licenses and kept the licenses. Some speculated with the licenses, took money from financial institutions, did not go into the operations of the mining, but used the money for other things. So I revoked over 900 of such. At the last count, we had about almost 10,000 applications since we assumed office, fresh applications, and we've approved over 4,000 of such, which means there is a quantum leap in the investment that is coming into the sector, invariably generating more revenue into the coffers of the Nigerian government. In Riyadh, early this year, I went there with my team to the Future Minerals Conference and presented Nigeria's 7-point agenda for sustainable development in the solid mineral sector. And one of the very significant items of that paper I presented is the issue of local value addition. I made a passionate case there that no more will we allow anybody to cut away our raw minerals out of Nigeria without processing, without refining, without local value addition, without multiplier effect to the economy. And when I presented that in Riyadh, all the African ministers of minerals there became so excited and therefore formed the African Mineral Strategy Group and immediately elected me, Nigeria, as the interim chairman or pro tem chairman of that body.
Day one ends with a briefing by the Minister of Defense as he highlights efforts made to tackle insecurity in the country.
We were able to neutralize more than 9,300 bandits and insurgents. About 7,000 arrested, while we rescued 4,641 victims of kidnapping. That is in just 1 year. We have also arrested 4,882 assorted weapons and 83,900 assorted ammunition just in 1 year. And among those that we neutralize are bandits that you hear, are bandits commanders that command hundreds of foot soldiers. We are conducting Operation Desert Sanity 3 and Lake Sanity 2 was the Republic of Chad, Cameroon, and some representative from the Benin Republic. And this shows how we collaborate with neighboring states. Our production line that has not been operating for years, I've started operation for this production of small caliber ammunitions. We are currently producing, and more factories for the production of arms and ammunition are coming in the next 1 year. In the personnel welfare, because to have the spirit to fight and also keep their morale, the president have supported the armed forces with a lot of welfare packages. Their salaries and allowances are paid as and when due.
Welcome back. Day two of the briefings saw 5 ministers present their scorecards: disease surveillance and epidemic response from the Minister of Health, improvements in the housing sector and the launch of a housing portal by the Housing Minister, Details of prosecutions and convictions by the Minister of Justice, achieving 5,123 megawatts of electricity from the Minister of Power, and improvements in policing mechanisms by the Minister of Police Affairs. Please watch this.
Please be seated.
Day 2 of the ministerial sectorial briefing by members of the Federal Executive Council to mark the first year in office of President Bola Tinubu begins with a scorecard of the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, who highlights the various health initiatives undertaken and progress achieved in expanding health insurance enrollments and securing significant funding for primary health care improvements.
Over the last 9 months, in 33 federal tertiary hospitals, 4.5 million Nigerians were able to access outpatient services, and 1.6 million Nigerians had inpatient admissions in those 33 facilities. So if you extrapolate for the 72 facilities, we can logically expect about 7 to 8 million Nigerians who are ill, who sought services from federal facilities, and about 2.5 million Nigerians who have gotten inpatient admission in our facilities. We've disbursed through the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, the first tranche of 25 billion through MPHD and NHIA, reaches 8,300 facilities. But we put a condition that states that will access those have to comply with the fiduciary guidelines that have been provided, responding to lapses that had been observed over years so that the resources go to Nigerians. 23 states have received those funds, and I believe that the rest of the states are just about to complete and receive their own financing to channel through the primary healthcare centers. More than 2,400 health workers, nurses, doctors, midwives have been recruited in facilities to provide services to Nigerians, many of them women in rural areas, to provide essential services.
Then the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Ahmed Dangiwa, gave insights into the progress made in ensuring affordable housing for all Nigerians.
We have planned and commenced the actualization of the Renewed Hope Cities and Estates Development Program, which we quite well know that Mr. President launched early this year. He launched the Renewed Hope Estate and Cities program, and he did a groundbreaking on the same day of 3,112 housing units for a start. So under phase 1, we plan to deliver a total of 20,000 housing units across the Nigeria, with both budgetary allocation of the 20,000 housing units and 30,000 additional under the PPP, public-private partnerships. So under this concept, housing unit built in renewed hope cities will be sold at commercial rate, while a substantial percentage will be sold at concessionary rates to low and medium income Nigerians who are members of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress. The Renewed Hope Housing Program is designed to be a catalyst for economic growth. The construction and development of these new areas will generate employment opportunities, as I've said, stimulate local businesses, and attract investments. These housing units we plan to deliver under phase 1 will create over 1.2 million direct and indirect construction jobs. This in addition to the value chain effects of purchase, supply of building materials, businesses around the construction sites, etc.
Nigeria's electricity generation reached 5,123 megawatts in May of 2024, marking a significant improvement over previous levels. And this is according to the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu.
5,000 megawatts of power was achieved in May 2024 for the first time in 3 years. Exactly 3rd of May 2024, we generated, transmitted, and distributed 5,003.45 megawatts of power, when we have been generating below 4,000. We all know what we passed through in February and March, but we rose to the occasion. And we made sure we changed the situation for the better. Our target is to achieve 6,000 megawatts before the end of this year for the first time in the history of Nigeria, and to happen, inshallah.
So we have improved grid generation capacity with the addition of 700 megawatts Zungeru, and we are proposing inclusion of 3,000 utility scale solar power source within the next 24 months to actually change the mix of our energy generation. That's also for the first time in Nigeria. But what we have today is just hydropower and gas power. We want to introduce renewable energy in conjunction with, in relation with our energy transition plan.
The Minister of Police Affairs, speaking on specialized units created to combat crime, notes that 1,190 suspects have been arrested so far by the police and are currently undergoing screening and interrogation over issues of kidnapping and banditry. Meanwhile, according to him, 63 suspects linked to violent crimes along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway in Kaduna State have been apprehended.
I'm pleased to announce that the Ministry of Police Affairs has made significant progress in enhancing security and welfare of all Nigerians over the past year. However, our efforts continue, and we are dedicated to further improving the effectiveness and accountability of our law enforcement agencies in serving the nation. The Nigerian police system has fully embraced community-oriented policing, acknowledging its significance in promoting a safer environment nationwide. Ongoing initiatives include engaging multiple stakeholders through town hall meetings and reinforcing the Police Community Relations Committee to bolster efforts in enhancing community safety. Improved welfare for police personnel. The Ministry of Police Affairs facilitated the promotion of 3,071 education officers within the police education system, ranging from salary grade level 7 to 17, who are odd areas for over 5 years. The police pension bill is currently under review to enhance the welfare of police officers. Establishment of the Nigerian Police Veterans Foundation to support retired police officers. Introduction of annual Nigerian Police Awards and commendations through the inspire Nigerian police force officers and personnel to uphold exceptional professionalism and service delivery.
On his part, the Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, while fielding questions from journalists after presenting his scorecard, clarified why the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, was still in custody.
Up till now, if I see Shore, I don't know him. If I see Nnamdi Kanu, I don't know him. But I called for the facts of the two people. They are not the same. What I felt, well, this one should go. I had no hesitation. It didn't give me any difficulty. But I have a difficulty in respect of the other one. And he's being held under the rules and laws of the nation. And I know that it's now in court. Let's wait for the decision of the court. The ministry has resumed trial of terrorism cases in conjunction with the Legal Aid Council, National Human Rights Commission, and other critical stakeholders. The percentage of terrorism cases initiated and corruption cases concluded within the reporting period has been significant. Facilitating international cooperation on terrorism, international cooperation on terrorism financing and other transnational crime. I wish to report that the mandate extends to matters relating to finance, cybercrime, anti-corruption, laundering, terrorism and genocide and complex cases.
The briefings will continue, according to the Minister of Information, as President Tinubu's 1 year in office remains in focus. At the back of the minds of these ministers must be their accountability to the people, as they remember the words of President Tinubu when they assumed office. Quote, "If you're performing, nothing to fear. If you miss the objective, we will review it. If no performance, you will leave us. No one is an island, and the buck stops on my desk." End quote. It has been quite a lot to take in. And the president would make history if this review actually leads to a reshuffling of his cabinet, which in many quarters has been criticized for being overbloated and underperforming in terms of actual granular benefits to the Nigerian people. Especially as Nigerians groan under the weight of the president's policies, which promise long-term benefits, but in the interim has reduced the quality of lives of the Nigerian, and the ripple effect of this fact is seen in every facet of our country. The briefings continue as the Tinubu administration marks a year in office, and we pray for a better future. One where accountability mechanisms, such as these assessments, result in better service delivery to the Nigerian. And that's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magua. See you next time.